Thanks, Selena. Hi, everyone. It's really nice to see some of you again and to meet you. I haven't met you before. So I'm Nick Harmon. I work at the University of Liverpool. I'm based over in health data science, and I lead this project called Drawing on Experience. So this, the idea of this is about using creative methods when we look at experiences of involvement in research. So before I go on to that bit, for everybody in the room, can you put your hands up if you did either the first workshop or the second workshop? Okay, so quite a lot of you, and mixed across the tables, I think, more or less, which is good. Okay, so a zine then is it's an independently published piece of work. It can be anything from an A4 folded piece of paper that you fold up into a booklet, or something like this that we've done multiple pages. You can create it individually or as a collaborative piece. And I think that they, I really like them. There's a community of people who make zines. There's a community of people who read zines. There are people that do both. So it's a way of reaching people beyond the immediate sort of involvement community as well. So by reaching people who read zines, they might not know that this sort of activity exists. So I think they have potential there. So you can make collaborative ones. Lots of people make personal zines. These can be about your health experiences, something that you've done, something that you like doing, a hobby, an activity. There is an endless number of topics that zines can be about. So if you can imagine it, you can make a zine about it. And the other thing I like about them, and I was listening outside and you were talking about stories and telling stories. Zines are a way that you can write your story down, but you can also tell a story visually. And you don't have to explain it. You can pick a series of images and make that into a zine and leave it as that. And you can keep it for yourself, or you can share it with the wider audience. So this Drawing on Experience project came about thinking about how can we explore people's experiences of involvement, and how does that link to these standards of involvement that the NIHR published? And you'll see these in the zine as well. So there's 6 standards. And sort of thinking about these, I thought that a zine links into communications. So thinking about, well, how do we communicate with people, and what are the different ways we can communicate with people? How can we make opportunities inclusive? So zine making is something that's maybe a little bit different to focus group work, meetings. It's another way of people engaging with research. We can use it to explore impact. And I think the session this morning has been really focused on impact. So can it help identify aspects of impact, and can we share it in that way? And this zine has been very much a collaborative zine, and the one before. So it's all about working together, not just for the research project, but thinking about how you share that as well. So in March, we got together with lots of you in the room, and some of you did this in July 2023 as well with me. And we got together and got creative. Very much similar format. So if you couldn't come to this one, but you came last year, similar sort of thing, where had a little bit of discussion, some thinking individually about kind of what involvement's been like at the beginning of the involvement, what it's like now, what your hopes for the future are. And then we took all of that work and put it into a zine. So on the day, probably created an artwork that had 2 layers on it. Some people did 1 layer, but 2 layers. We scanned everything in, and I know I've gone through some of this. So this is a real whistle-stop tour of what's happened. So we saved each layer, put the playlist. So everybody shared a song. We put that onto Spotify. I got to play as well and make the cover and do some of the artwork around the playlist, just to try and tie everything in together. And the picture that you can see on the side, this is a piece of packing tape. So it's a roll of packing tape that I keep. And whenever I do collage or cut out bits of things, and I've got little tiny scraps left over, I stick that onto the packing tape. So this is like a big roll that is just bringing up. So you'll see that some of the little bits You might spot them in the zine, some of the little patterns. So don't waste anything. So then once we'd scanned everything in, we had to figure out how to put it together. Hi, Mark. So this is Mark. Some of you have met Mark. Mark is involved in delivering the workshops. Abby, who can't be here today, she's on holiday, we're just coming back from a really nice holiday, yeah. So she then got the artwork together with Abby and started to work on the layouts. How do we put this together? Are there any like themes within the artwork? So not really like trying to do any analysis of it, but are there some things in common? How do we lay this out in a way that is going to read nicely? And then Abby did the sort of refining of that, so making sure the file was going to print nicely and it was all nice and clean. And then Abby has sent me some videos so I can show you the process. So we used a risograph machine printer. I'll defer to Mark for the technical terms, to print this. And it's a really nice way of printing. It uses soy-based inks, so it's a bit better for the environment. Abby did this locally. She's an expert in this type of printing. So we kept, you know, everything local. There's not like lots of carbon emissions associated with this. But it's a really interesting way of printing and how it works. So I'm just going to play this little video. Got some nice ASMR.
Tool, it's a bone folder. It's so satisfying to use.
I really like that, and the tool that Abby stapled it with, and that was very satisfying to watch. So that was 1 minute of the printing process. It took a little bit longer than that. So you can see it prints each colour separately, creates like a master copy of your image, and then prints that. So you might have spotted your images in some of the video clips. Oh, and I don't want to play it again. There we go. So what's happened now? We've printed it. They're in the box there. You're going to get a copy in a minute. And then I'm going to ask you to have a look through and we'll do a little bit of reflection. Other things that are happening. So Sian has put together a digital flipbook version of this that you can access via the QR code. It's a work in progress. So she's going to link in some videos and some audio as well to this. So that's happening. It's also been added to the University of Liverpool data catalogue. So by doing that, it gives it a DOI, which is a document object digital. Glad someone knows what the acronym is. And that means that we can, it exists, and it's a way of like tracking what happens to it, and if people use it or cite it, it's got this number that we can use to keep track of where it is on the internet. So the last thing, this was a really quick couple of slides, but it's to say a really big thank you. I had a really great time at both of the zine making workshops. I learned a lot. I learned a lot from listening to you, from looking at the artwork and just being part of the process. I don't know if you want, I'm not putting you on the spot, Mark, but
also the same, like I almost wish we had more time together. You know, these events are never long enough to be able to do that. But I appreciate the things you shared with myself and Abby along the way, and the risks you took learning a new way of kind of thinking about the layering of the images and the storytelling you wanted to get across through your visual medium and the written work that accompanied it. So just thank you very much for taking part in that.
So now it is over to you. I'm gonna hand out the zines and also a sheet that has some of these questions on it. So it's up to you. You can spend some time just looking at the zine. If you can have a think about some of these and jot down any thoughts, that would be great. It's really sort of thinking about, is there anything in the zine that surprises you? Does something stand out to you? What's it like reading a zine like that compared to other documents? And there's not so much reading, it's kind of looking at the images and how is that? Would you like to do it again? Or if you didn't come to one of the sessions, would you like to do this sort of activity either as a group or individually? And sort of like, what do we do with it now? So you're going to get a copy. Who else should get a copy? Like what would have good impact if we shared this with people, and who are the people to share it with? We can do it obviously digitally. We can reach a broader audience, and then there'll be some printed copies as well. So I will hand these out.
I enjoyed it because I'm free to do what I wanted to do, and having experienced collage for 12 weeks at psychotherapy unit and being guided. So that to me, and I'm not particularly artistic, but it's just that freedom that you get to express yourself. So I like that. Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's nice that you can. It doesn't have to have a starting point. It can start anywhere, not at the beginning and then work your way through to the end. It could be a thought that you start with
And avoiding perfectionism, because that's
yeah, there's a poster outside actually about perfectionism that I was looking at on the group.
so.
Thank you. I was the one who attended in 2023, and it was myself, Neil, and Ivan Durrani, and it was my first experience. I never knew what does Zine mean, what it looks like, or anything. So when the opportunity came, I said, oh, there's nothing else to do. In summer holidays, my daughter, who was 12 years old, she was saying, I'm on board. I said, okay, I'll send an email to Nicola, and I said, can I bring my 12 years old? Because she was very keen. And I attended, I learned so much. I never did collage or anything about it. And my daughter really enjoyed, she helped the team, and it was a great experience. I never thought about it because I put my ideas about mental health related story, put it in a zine, and it really worked really well. So every time I attend any meeting regards to mental health, I take a zine with me, and that's a great. It tells a story without telling a story. So it was a great opportunity, and if ever come again, I will be the first one to join. And it's a shame I couldn't attend the second.
I'm just looking at the page that I wrote, and I'm thinking, 50 odd years ago, my art teacher threw me out of class and told me I was an utter disgrace. I couldn't even draw a straight line with a ruler, and I was useless. I went and studied chemistry instead, so I don't know much worse. But I'm looking, and I really did enjoy it. I was thinking, oh, this is going to be a nightmare. And I'm looking at my stick person, and I'm really proud that it's the first time I've had anything published that I've drawn. Never had anything on the wall, so like it's a first for me after all these years. But yeah, it really was. We had a good laugh that day as well, which I think is half the battle, and that's what we're all about.
So next challenge, we've got to get it up on the walls. Thank you, everyone. That was really nice to hear those positive experiences. Is there anything anybody wanted to share about
Yeah, thank you. First word is it's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. The product is, but the process is equally brilliant. It's good to see that you've brought it together. One of the things I've written is that Picasso, we've all heard of Picasso, I'm sure. Used to say it's important that we learn to draw and redraw as if we're children. And I think that's really important, you know, that we do that. We are children, you know, you might think we've grown up, but actually we haven't. You know, my kids, 75 years ago, I was a child. I'm still a child, you know. And you've got to be able to be a child. Another thing that I often watch medical programs on the TV, you know, in the doctor's surgery and things. And even last night, one of the doctors was making a drawing of a wart. He had to remove, and he made a drawing of it to communicate it. Now, lots of doctors of medicine actually make drawings to explain procedures. And I think that's important. There's a connection between what might be very informal and using graphics to communicate. And I personally do think that the ARC has done a fantastic job in enabling this zine to happen. And maybe there'll be other things will grow out of it. And finally, the connection with children is very important. I don't know if anybody knows, but Frank Cochran, who lives in North Liverpool, has just been declared the current laureate for children. I think the connection between the zine and the children's expression could be developed. So you could have a zine that is made and full for children. So you could organise the events in some primary schools. And it ends up by saying he is possible in the team. One of the things that's happening at the moment, children not, unfortunately, reading the more simple things that we've read, you know, and you remember them, and they're quite important. I think he's encouraging children to read more. And of course, it's not just about reading lines of script. It's about looking at pictures. And, you know, I learned a lot by looking at magazines like Look and Learn, is the one you remember. You know, about that every Saturday. And followed by it Saturday for the week. And the title was Look and Learn. I think that's important, looking at things and learning from. But I think it's absolutely important. You know, I think it's got to be distributed to other universities, other schools, secondary schools, primary schools, get more feedback and to get more opportunities to create more zines and raise the funding. You know, all things depending on money, raise the funding to help this happen again and again and again. That's right. So that's great. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. So you're just going to hear from Hilary online.
Yeah. Excuse me. I hope my group will just correct me if I'm wrong on it, if I say anything that's not quite right. But our discussion really went far and wide as a consequence of looking at this zine. And we started off with Trudy was saying, because I'm just saying your bit here, Trudy, but she works for NICE, and she said, looking at that zine, she felt like the 200 years behind the times in terms of how they communicate. And my first reaction to it was the opposite, that it took me back 50 years to when I worked as an activist and worked on an alternative paper, and it uses the sort of stuff we used to do communicate with communities. So that was quite interesting. And then we got talking about all sorts of things. And the thing that's two things really dinging and donging in my head as a consequence of our discussion came from Simon and Trudy. But one thing was that here everything is available, but not accessible. And the other was, who can you actually represent? If you know, Trudy gave the example of from her experience of you know, you might have a particular thing about you and your experiences, but it doesn't mean you can speak for everybody else that have got those experiences. So we've got to widen accessibility, and it's not just a bit availability. And yeah, I'm not putting that very clearly, but it was really, really interesting discussion. So thank you.
Thanks, Hilary. And yeah, zines definitely have a long history with activism, and they used to sort of share messages broadly. So I think, yeah, we've got some thinking to do about how we can share this, how we can get funding to maybe do it again. I'd really like to share it with the Welcome Collection. They've got a big zine library. So hopefully sharing it with them will allow that to be accessed by others, and they obviously got quite a big platform. So yeah, I think I haven't got anything else. I'm looking at Martin if he's getting anything to say apart from thank you, and we'll take on board, you know, what you've said now, and thanks for the feedback forms and the ideas shared on that, and hopefully we'll be able to do something in some format in the future. Can't promise when, but that's my goal. All right, thanks everyone.
Before we break for lunch, I just want to say another massive thank you to Nicola and Mark and everyone that made this happen, because it started off as an idea in my head about what we might be able to make, and I'm absolutely stunned by how well everyone did and just how beautiful the zine is, and it's absolutely everything I hoped it would be. So well done all of you for making it, and you two for making it happen. Thank you.